Ted Barker. Welcome to today's episode of BLARREDtake. Today we will be talking health and fitness. With me today are two fitness competitors and aspiring models, fitness models. I have with me Victoria Betolatti and Rakeem Gayle. Welcome to my show.
Thank you
for having us.
You're welcome. We're going to start off with a word game. I'm going to ask you a word, and I'm going to mention a word, and you just tell me whatever comes to your mind first. Okay? I'll start with you, Rakeem.
Okay, that's fair.
Sleeping.
All the time.
Okay. Tori. Fitness.
Happy.
Okay. Rakeem. Goals.
Strong.
Okay. Tori. Food.
Hunger.
Okay. Rakeem. Sugar.
So good.
Okay. Tori. Running.
The devil.
Great. Okay. I just wanted to throw some things out there based on what we're going to be talking about today. I'll start with you, Tori. Tell me what made you get into fitness competitions. Where were you at in your life, and where are you at now as far as the whole realm of fitness and health?
That's a good question. So I was always athletic. I started with ballet, I started with gymnastics, and then became a figure skater. And when I was about 14, a friend of ours, my mom's friend, actually lost about 300, she was somewhere in the 350 pounds,
Okay.
and she lost all that weight and ended up doing a figure show. And so this was back in 2006. And we went and saw it, and I said, I want to do that.
Right.
And I was 14 years old and did my first figure competition as a teen figure competitor at 15. And did that a couple times, but wanted to be a kid. But unfortunately, I was so young that I developed a lot of eating issues because of dieting so hard for a good chunk of time. So I wanted to maintain this very unmaintainable physique as a 15, 16-year-old girl.
Okay.
So I resorted to starving. I resorted to binge and purge. It was very, very difficult, and it would go on for years. And when I moved to New York City, because I lived in New York City for a little while,
Okay.
I ate everything. And I was very sedentary and kind of would resort back to my old ways as far as eating disorders go. But back in 2012, I looked in the mirror one day and I was like, I have to fix this.
Okay.
And decided to do a bikini competition. So I did a bikini competition in April of 2013 and another in June of 2013, and placed top 10 in classes of girls that were doing this for years.
Wow.
So it was basically what got me into it was the health and fitness, but then what brought me back was to change my way of looking at food and to be happy again.
Okay. Awesome. Rakeem,
Okay.
what made you get into doing men's physique?
Well, my story's a bit different.
Okay.
Well, my girlfriend actually got me into it without knowing that she was going to get me into it.
Tell me about that.
We're dating 4 years now.
Okay.
But about 1 year in, we're going out every day, and I'm actively exercising, thinking everything's okay. But I get really fat in the process, and I don't realize it. So one day we're kind of hanging out, we're like around the pool, and I'm flexing my life away. I'm flexing as hard as I possibly can, and she's like, flex your abs for me. And she didn't know that I was already flexing as hard as I could.
Okay.
So at that point I realized I'm fat. Like, I have no abs. I go to the bathroom, I realize everything's smooth. My chest is boobs now, and it was a complete illusion. But prior to that, in elementary school I was doing football. High school I did track, and I was doing swimming. So I was a lot more active, so I could get away with what I was eating. and I could maintain a pretty decent body and still eat the way that I was eating. But outside of high school, I'm only, doing minimal activity now, thinking I could maintain that same physique, and I couldn't. So what I did right away, I started looking up foods I could eat to lose weight, exercises I could do to, increase my metabolism. Literally everything you could possibly look up, I was looking up consistently. I started doing that and practicing it every single day. Over about a year, I went from 180 pounds to about 140 pounds. I went from 23% body fat to 7% body fat.
Wow.
And I held that for 4 years now.
Wow.
So that really helped me. One thing I realized, I was inspiring people on the way, and people are asking me questions. Hey, how do you do this? How do you do that? I'm like, oh, people are paying attention to what I'm doing, so I could help people now while I'm helping myself. So it gave me a bigger drive to keep going forward with what I was doing.
Okay, great. So listening to both you and Tori, would you say that your diet played a huge part in you initially wanting to get into training your body better to be healthier?
For shows?
Well, for shows and just in general, because you guys have had very different stories, but your stories are similar to the point that you did not feel okay about your body at some point in time in your life. So how did food play a part in you just not being happy with where you were at and deciding to do something about it?
Well, I've learned that basically a lot of people are eating. How's it phrased? People are eating. You have to eat to live, not live to eat.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are doing basically quite the opposite. A lot of people think bonding is going out and eating together or eating whatever you want. You have to really pay attention to that, because a lot of that stuff it's temporary.
Yeah.
Fats and carbohydrates and sugars will make your body feel happy at the moment, but if you don't use that, it will turn to actual fat. And so you might feel happy in the moment, but you got to think about long-term longevity. You might, in about a week or two, maybe even a month, you might add 10, 15 pounds of fat to your body.
Oh, yeah.
And you'd really begin to feel, uncomfortable about yourself. Some people get depressed. You can
And that
end up
depression makes them keep on eating that way.
Right. And, it just comes with a lot of baggage. It really could. But once you change your diet, you'll literally change the way you feel and how you look.
Okay. Tori, one of the things that you mentioned is early on, you were doing what there are many people out there that are doing when it comes to food, and it's a disease that's out there. Share a little bit about what that experience did for you as far as liking food, but feeling like food was a villain to you.
Well, so I grew up with a history of just kind of being afraid of food and always turning to food for happiness, like Rakeem was saying. And so I've lost 50 pounds this year because what happened was after I competed in bikini, I decided I wanted to change divisions and build more muscle, and I was really excited to kind of bulk up. And so food became this huge thing where everyone says you have to eat to grow. And I decided after my show I was just going to eat everything, and ended up putting on a good 50 pounds in 6 months.
Okay.
And that cycle of constantly looking in the mirror and not being happy with myself was making me want to eat even more, because I felt like I had already messed up my body so it couldn't get any worse. And every day I just say, oh, I'm going to eat really clean. And then the very first bite of food, I would say, I've already messed up. I had some cereal, I had this, I had that. And it became this horrible depressing cycle, always. And so one day, my fiance and I were realtors. We were holding an open house, and I looked in the mirror, and I just felt like my clothes were fitting me way too tight, And a part of me said that I could never lose all that weight and in not enough time. But another part of me in the competition mindset, I said, this could be a really good challenge. And so I cold turkey started dieting a day later. And it was really hard. And that cycle still was happening all throughout my prep for a show. There'd be days in the beginning of my prep where I'd look in the mirror and just be like, I'm not where I need to be, and start binge eating during my prep. And so I think now that I've experienced that, I don't think it's going to necessarily go away, but I've experienced it. I know how to attack it. And I explain to girls that it's never too late to fix what's happening to your body and to kind of address the issue. And so if you do mess up, don't feel that it's the end of the world and keep on messing up. Just start over. Just
Right.
You had bad breakfast and a bad lunch, have a healthy dinner.
Got you. Okay, and this is to both of you all. For people out there, including myself, I love to eat. We all love to eat. What is it about eating now that has so many people, and when I think about people, I think about the world in such a state of danger, specifically obesity, type 2 diabetes. There are a lot of people that work out, I know, but what is it about what you eat and your activity that's caused so many people to really be in danger when it comes to health just from loving to eat?
Excellent question. A lot of people like to eat literally in the opposite of their activity level. So they'll eat way more than energy they put out, because food is supposed to be fuel. So if you're intaking a lot of food, you have a lot of energy, but unused energy becomes fat. So if you're eating all this food and you're not really doing anything, or maybe you're a social talker at the gym, I mean you're just gonna gain weight. But if you're eating the appropriate amounts, I think that a lot of people should start measuring their meals, like weighing the food, using measuring cups to measure the carbohydrates, eat more complex carbs, as in more vegetables on days that they're not as active, and days that they will be active, like let's say someone's doing something like hiking the mountain or going to the gym or doing both that day. You should probably have a couple meals with some a decent amount of carbohydrates, and for days that you're more sedentary, it should be more vegetables.
Okay.
It will make a world of difference for your body.
Okay. Go ahead, Tori.
And the media too has a huge effect on it, because you see so many commercials for fast food, and you can't walk down a grocery aisle without seeing something that is fattening. And so all these people that want to start eating healthy, they have such a uneducated response to food too. And so I was talking to girls, and a girl at my office who was like, so do you eat 6 times a day? And I said, yeah. And she goes, okay, so and I had one of my meals. She goes, so that's lunch? I was like, no, it's meal too. And she goes, but that looks like a real meal. And I said, yeah, all my meals look like this: chicken and rice, chicken and potatoes. And she was telling me a little bit about her day, and I was just baffled. Breakfast was cereal and toast, carbs. Then snack was a fruit yogurt, but had maybe 3 grams of protein and a bunch of carbs and sugars. And then lunch was a Chick-fil-A salad. And then her snack again would be more carbs, or 3 handfuls of almonds. And so it's just such uneducation for people aren't educated enough about health and fitness.
Right.
And so there needs to be better information out there for them.
How did you guys actually learn how to eat right? Did you go through phases and trials and experimentations to see what worked and what did not work?
I did the Special K diet.
Okay. That's a big thing. Let's talk about just briefly about diets. What is it about what you actually should do versus all the diets that we hear out there that some say work, some say don't work? Talk about that for a moment.
Okay. I've gone through a lot of trial and error, first of all. I'd like to say that.
Okay.
I think the best method so far for me, and I think for all in general, is a scale method. Like measuring out your meals. I think that's the best thing you could possibly do. There's many. I know she's a big believer of if it fits your macros.
Yeah. But in an educated way. Because there's people that say if it fits your macros, and a lot of people are going to be confused by this. Macros are protein, carbs, and fats.
Right.
And protein and carbs for each gram is 4 calories, and fat is 9 grams. A lot of people think that all their carbs can be Pop-Tarts and cereal and breads and all these things that aren't going to fuel your body like oatmeal and potato will, and that they can have one big meal a day and get all their calories in, and that's no common sense.
Right.
So I use common sense with mine.
Right.
Okay.
But I believe everyone should weigh out their food and measure their food. Even me, when I first started, I literally went and I sought out like a physique coach, and I went to a guy that's one of the best in the business, for sure. Okay. He is. And I brought in one of my meals. I'm thinking I'm the expert at this point. I said, this is my meal. I handed over to him like it's golden. He said, this is not enough food. And in my head, I said, you don't know what you're talking about. This is perfect. But it was literally, to my knowledge, I thought that, when food is raw, it says like 4 ounces per fillet. Right. I didn't know when you cook it loses weight. I didn't know that. Just being uneducated. So all my meals were about 1 ounce, 2 ounce, 3 ounces. They need to be 6 to 8 ounces a piece for my size. So I'm working hard. I'm doing cardio for about 30, 45 minutes a day. I'm lifting for about an hour, 2 hours a day, and I'm not gaining any muscle. I'm just getting all these veins and all these striations. But that was just like due to lack of education.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So I think that now that I have a food scale, I weigh out all my meals, make sure all my chicken's 8 ounces after being cooked, 6 ounces after being cooked. I get a half a cup measurer to measure out my carbohydrates for all my meals, and my complex carbs. Now everything's perfect. Mm-hmm. Like I see change on the daily. Yeah. Like a new vein or a new muscle or something different.
And like Rakeem, I mentioned with my approach, and it helps me because I'm a binge eater. Like, it's very hard for me to look at food and not eat it. And so dieting is a very big challenge for me. And I can do it when I have a goal, but especially post-competition, you don't have a goal in mind. And so you have, let's say, I'm going to take 12 months off right now before I start dieting again. And if I was sticking to a clean diet and every meal was either chicken and rice or turkey and potatoes, I'd feel suffocated. And a lot of people that are just starting out with fitness feel suffocated. Sure. They'll think, I'm not going to eat all the same meals every day. I can't do that. And so then they just quit after the first day because they're scared. And so coming from someone who's had eating disorders and struggles with binging and having such a horrible body image, I've found that if I know exactly what my numbers are, and people have a hard time finding out what those numbers should be with the macros, if I know what they are, I can stick to a diet a lot better. And if I mess up a little bit here and there, it's okay. And I just make sure to start over the next day. And I'll have cereal if I want to. I'll have a bagel if I want to, but I just log it into my food calculator, and it makes me feel less guilty for eating it, and it keeps me in control, and it becomes this game like I need to hit that number, and I need to see that I'm sticking to a plan. So I feel that Rakeem's diet is great for especially fitness competitions, and that's what I stick to during competition. But for the average person, I think it's really good to not be suffocated by a set meal plan, And so if they want a Dannon yogurt, if they want to go and have a Pop-Tart, they can, but it teaches them not to overeat.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Tori and Rakeem, one of my my questions that I have for you all and for everyone out there, for people who are looking to start exercising that may even after seeing this interview that want to get into shape, since food is such a big part and so important to anything you're trying to do, which most people are trying to lose weight, what would you tell them?
Well, first things first, we always have to figure out what the goal is, the exact goal.
Okay. Let me say this. Let me ask you this. If you all pretend that you are just ordinary people, okay, and you're just wanting to get into just getting your body in shape, period. Even though you compete. But for the average person, what you've said would be a little extreme to most people.
Oh, yeah.
So with that being said, put yourself in the shoes of most people who want to lose weight and get fit, just period. And how would that person be able to be disciplined enough to eat the way that you've explained is necessary? Because from what I understand, eating the proper foods is necessary to getting any kind of shape, right?
Right.
Okay.
Well, I think there's some staple rules where protein is still necessary. Whether you're an average person just trying to get into the gym or you're a competitor, too many people don't eat enough protein. So I think the average person needs to look at how much they weigh and eat 0.8 to 1 gram per body weight. So if they weigh 130, they really should try and aim for 130 grams of protein. And so many people don't do it. They'll have a big bowl of cereal, some like Nutri-Grain bars as snacks, and maybe some chicken for breakfast or for lunch and dinner, but it's just not adding up to the macronutrients that they need. So I would look at protein, and then from there, there's simple carbs that they can eat, but at the right times. Breakfast is fine to have a bowl of cereal, but weigh it out. And after a workout, you can have maybe like a piece of fruit. But I've seen people walk into the gym eating an apple, and I'm like, your blood sugar is going to drop if you do that. And so it drives me nuts. And so there's little simple rules that they need to remember where fast digesting carbs are perfectly fine for breakfast and post-workout. But other than that, have calorie-dense foods such as, or nutrient-dense foods such as sweet potato and small things of steak and chicken, and weigh it out so that you know how much protein you're getting. And you can have 3 meals a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but have maybe Greek yogurt and some almonds for snacks here and there. So just turning to those healthy options will make a drastic change.
Okay. One of the things I want to hear your opinion about, and Rakeem, I mentioned to you earlier, is sugar. There are a lot of misconceptions about sugar. Obviously, we need carbohydrates. What is it about sugar that people either don't understand or they're abusing? What is it about sugar that has so many people just in disarray?
Okay, well,
They think fruit is fine.
right. It's a double-edged sword.
Okay.
That's the best way to put
Explain that.
it. You could use sugar to fuel the workout. You could use sugar to replenish the body after the workout. But you also got to keep in mind the more sugar that's inside the body, it's almost like it is a carb for sure, but it's close to fat, as in how the body's going to take to it. So the more sugar you have, is the softer you'll look. So if you have a high sugar-based diet, let's say, I know a lot of people when they're just starting to exercise, they always come up to me and say, "Hey, I changed my diet. I have a ton of vegetables. I have a ton of fruits. And they usually don't say protein. They usually don't.
Yeah.
But that's literally you're having a high carb and a high sugar diet then.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're setting your body up to be fueled. You'll feel really good, but
Yeah.
you're not going to use all that energy, and it's going to cause the body to gain fat over time and to give it that soft look.
Because
where
there's only
it's not
so
defined.
much a glycogen store and a fructose store before the fruit is basically the same as candy.
Wow. Okay.
That's
Okay.
why
And that's
fruit's so
why I
good.
would say for fruit, 2 times a day. You can have a little bit in breakfast on top of your cereal
And maybe after the workout.
and have a banana after a workout.
Wow. Okay. Now, obviously, you guys are on a different level than myself and all those out there watching, my show.
Well, thank you.
Let's talk about what you do. Explain what you do when it comes to competitions. What is a competition? We know that it's competing, but what are you competing for? What is the competition itself? What does it entail?
Well, to me, the competitions, I want to phrase this correct because I don't sound arrogant in a sense, but I don't look at it as competing against other people. Okay. I look at it as bringing in my best self every time. So I'm looking to beat my former self every single time. I always want to come in looking a lot different, harder, stronger, more vascular, more intense than the previous show, but with a friendly face. So, but a competition is basically just bringing out your best self, proving to yourself that you could hold discipline over a sustained period of time and hold focus over a sustained period of time. Because that's all fitness really is being dedicated for a period of time. Mm-hmm. If you can't do that, you just have to set goals, stay focused, and follow exactly what you set out to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's so many girls will look at magazines and say, I need to look like that girl. And they'll consistently go into the gym, compare their bodies to other girls, and it drives me crazy because everyone's body is shaped differently and it loses fat differently, it holds muscle differently. When you stand on stage, we all had the same goal. We're all like competing in the division that we're registered for, but everyone is different. And so that's the cool part about competing, where you could be standing next to someone who's the same exact height, same division, and be holding different amounts of muscle, different ways of holding it. You could weigh the same but look completely different. And that's what intrigues me, where I always was that girl who would look at magazines and say, oh, I need to have her abs, I need to have her arms. And after I kind of got more educated and more into the fitness industry, I realized I'm never going to look like all these girls in the magazine. I'm never going to, I might look better, I don't know. And so it basically is a competition against yourself. And when I compete, I'm hardly thinking of who's up there on stage with me at that point. You're nervous going in, thinking, oh my God, is this girl going to be bigger than me? Is she going to be leaner? And when you get up there, the whole entire time you're up there, you're just thinking, I did it. And you accomplished a goal that you set months ago. And so that's a really cool feeling.
Wow. So basically, would you say that most people derail themselves on fitness plans simply because they compare themselves to others?
Absolutely.
Of course. That's one of the biggest things. You can't really compare yourself to anyone else, because what I've realized in the gym, everyone looks better in some aspect than you do somewhere, whether you admit it or not. There's a lot of guys that look better than me. I'm not gonna go tell them, hey.
I find that hard to believe.
I'll tell them, I'll compliment them on it, but I'm not gonna say yours is better. But I realize that there's guys, hey, they have things that I admire about them. There's guys that have bigger muscles than me. There's guys that are more defined than me in some parts of their body. But in fitness, you just have to look at yourself, because you're your own competitor. You have to look in that mirror and really focus, hey, what do I need to improve on my chest, my abs, my back? You just have to be really self-focused, not to be vain about yourself or what's the word? Where you're self-indulged. What's that word?
Okay.
Yeah, that word. Whatever that word is. You just don't want to do that.
A lot of people think bodybuilding is all about being extremely arrogant and
self-centered. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, it is a very selfish sport, though. Mm-hmm. It is.
But it could also be beneficial for other people, because you also inspire them. Mm-hmm. It might be self-centered, but you're definitely inspiring people, whether you're trying to or not, because people are watching you, especially if you are improving. They are watching everything you do. So you have to really look at yourself as kind of a role model for people, because they're watching your workouts, they're watching what you eat, they're making sure you're not eating dirty. They call you on it all the time.
And that's something I wanted to talk about too, where last off season, when I changed divisions from bikini to physique and I gained all that weight, I had a good following of girls, and unfortunately the girls that really look up to me, they dirty bulked too, and they tag me and say, it's okay, Tori did it. And that killed me, because I knew that they're looking in the mirror and they're not happy with what they're seeing, and then they're tagging me on Instagram saying, well, the reason why I'm able to get through my day and I don't feel guilty for eating a pint of Ben & Jerry's is because Tori did it, and she changed
good.
she changed divisions and she looks incredible, and that's like, I'm gonna have that same season too. And what I wanted to do this year, now that I just competed last week and I'm taking a year off, is motivate people to have a different mindset in their off season and not binge eat every day and not hate themselves like I was doing. And so when I competed, it was very self-centered. It's all about me. I need to have the meals timed correctly. I need to be at the gym at this time. And it was hard for my fiance and I to even have time together, because it's all about you and making sure you accomplish that goal. And it's a very unmaintainable physique, so you have to get to that point. And so now I've noticed throughout the whole thing where girls were like, are you gonna dirty bulk again? And I said, no, I want to inspire you to stay leaner in the off season and really fuel your body correctly. And so it changed my whole entire tune from last off season to this off season, where I am doing this whole off season for other people now and keeping myself accountable. So it's a really inspiring feeling.
Okay. Obviously, you being a male and you being a female physique model, what would you say is the difference from an emotional standpoint and literally overall between the two, females competing, males competing? And the reason I ask that is because people deal with things differently from an emotional standpoint.
Definitely.
Not to judge, but I would think that
Girls
females are more emotional than men. And they're more sensitive to their bodies than men are.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the difference between the way women compete and the way men compete?
Okay, I'll take that.
Yes.
From what I've realized, and I don't mean to bash women, but women competitors get crazy, for sure.
My fiance can attest to that.
Carbs affect your brain, they do. And a lot of females, you know, they have a lot of estrogen in their body, so they're going to hold a lot of water in their stomach. So for them to diet down, they usually have to cut carbs in extreme ways. There's a diet called ketosis, where
there's just protein diets.
It's just protein.
I was dealing with that.
Just protein and complex carbs, which is vegetables, and it messes with your thought process. So they get really crazy. They make no sense. I mean, this is my experience. Okay. And I've seen it with probably 4 or 5 competitors.
Uh-huh.
Mid-conversation, you're talking to them, they walk off. They're just not functioning correct. Their moods change back and forth. They're usually more so on the frustrated and angry and hungry side.
Yeah.
So they're less pleasant. But male competitors, it's a bit different. We usually get to have more carbs. We usually are a little bit happier. Emotionally, it's not as stressful. And the biggest thing, I think males get a little bit more of cheat meals, because we hold our estrogen typically in our thighs. So that means a lot of our water will be in our thighs, or usually in our back, our lower back.
And stuff.
So it's not as visible. So we get to get away with a lot more.
That's what I need to work on then. Okay. All right.
So from an emotional standpoint, we're not really affected that much, especially if our body fat, or if we have fast metabolism or our body fat's already low. It could be a walk in the park.
Mm-hmm. And there's guys that have, my fiance is a bodybuilder as well, and he has to diet pretty hard because he was naturally just on the heavier side growing up. So people, some guys have a hard time dieting still, but it's just still, especially off season, is easier for a guy than a girl, I would say.
Oh yeah.
And so going from a girl's perspective during dieting, like Rakeem was saying, I had to diet very hard. There were days that I didn't even go above 1,200 calories, which I do not advise to anyone that's just starting out with fitness. And so some days were literally just protein and vegetables, no extra fats, and that messes with your hormones so much. And so, like he was saying, is to a T, I was very frustrated and very emotional, and I'd be happy and then sad in the same 5-minute span. And so when you're dieting such extremes to get on stage, it takes a toll on your body and it takes a toll on your relationships. And so I don't really advise competitions to people that are just starting out. I always say diet down the healthy way, diet down, see an outline of abs and just have fun feeling good for a while, and then get educated with the competition lifestyle before you make any type of decision, because that's what I didn't do. I always just look at competing as a way to fix myself and fix my eating, and because I have a very addictive and obsessive personality, if I say I'm going to do that show, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it really, really well, but it's for that specific goal. It's not just because every day I just want to be healthy. It's because I'm going to stand on stage. So I think it's good for people to do it just to be healthy. Sure. And not do it as some type of like saving yourself.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think that someone should enter a competition to lose weight. No. Especially if they're coming from, let's say if it's a girl and she's 180 pounds. That's just a bigger number for a woman. She shouldn't, and she wants to be, let's say, 120 pounds. Mm-hmm. She should not enter a physique or bikini competition for that purpose.
They're going to get a very negative way of dieting.
Right. She'll probably get to 120 for sure. More than likely, if she seeks counsel, gets a coach, right, supplementation. But it's going to be painful. Yep. And she's not going to like it. And right after the show,
binge.
Women typically, men too, they typically go on a binge. I mean, this is
what does a binge consist of when you say binge?
I just did it.
Okay, I'll let you elaborate.
I just competed July 5th and then July 12th, and this could go on for months, and it's really, really sad. And people do it, and I did it last year, and I nipped it in the butt on Wednesday, and so I knew going into this I was going to be way better about it, and I'm still holding a ton of water from it because your body holds sodium, holds water when you overdose on sodium and carbs that you weren't having before. So what I did was we finished the show, and immediately there were a ton of protein vendors there, like supplement companies. Went to every single table and got like every type of protein bar sample. Like, I just stood there and had like 5 on each table. So now I've had like maybe 5 protein bars total in like a 5-minute span. And then
that must have been exciting though.
Oh, it was. It's fun, and then it hurts. Okay. So that was fun, and I wasn't feeling horrible. I still had my abs. I still had my like suit on, and I was loving it. And then that night we went to McDonald's.
Oh, okay.
Got a burger, fries, breakfast sandwich, McFlurry. Oh no, McFlurry. They had these pastries that I'd never seen because I had been dieting for 6 months. And I was like, this is cool. And that's another thing too, where people have been dieting for half a year, that there's so many new foods. So they go, I have to have this. Mm-hmm. And so then I had a protein bar that they had given me, like those colossal protein bars that are not really diet friendly, and so I had one of those, and then I was snacking on Reese's cups and Kisses and all these different chocolates. And so then the next day had 2 bagels and eggs, and still snacking on the road down to the Keys. I was eating more food, and then it just kept on going. I never stopped eating, and so your stomach hurts, but you feel like you've been suffocated for so long that you just keep on eating and eating and eating and eating. And then I nipped it on the butt. But that's what happens. You literally do not stop eating.
Yeah, and I want to elaborate
you go
on
maybe
that.
4 minutes without stuffing your face.
Wow.
So after one of my shows, after my first show, November of 2013, it was called the Muscle Classic Elite. Went to IHOP. I ordered 4 meals for 4 people, 4 separate entities.
Okay.
Pancakes, strawberry syrup, whipped cream, strawberry syrup all over that. Bacon, egg, steak. I almost remember it to a T. French toast with the sugary powder that they put on funnel cakes with blueberries. And the other one was like a cheesecake dessert. It was cheesecake.
I was about to get that.
You should always get that.
Get a next treat meal.
And then I had a latte coffee with white chocolate and whipped cream. That was 1 meal for 1 human being.
All for you.
That was just for me. No one's touching it. I ate that night. Now, the good thing about post-competition food, like, you know, your body's kind of, depending on who you are, but your body's somewhat in a depleted state as far as you might have been depleted sugars or maybe carbohydrates. It's lacking something. So when you eat all that, immediately, like, everything grows. Immediately.
The next day you have abs still.
Oh, the next day you look better than you did at the show. For sure. Your body's completely rejuvenated in every way. But the thing is, sugar is literally addicting. It's like, I believe you told me before that sugar, the body absorbs it the same way and processes it through mind as crack cocaine.
Yeah.
Like, so it's literally addicting. The next week I go back to work, I'm getting Starbucks desserts every single day. I can't stop. Like, well, it's not I can't stop. I'm having a difficult time.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about it. For sure. So I go get it. I'm eating desserts consistently, carbohydrates that I usually wouldn't eat for about a full week or 2.
And things you never craved before you started dieting.
Weird things.
Like what?
I mean,
like yesterday, I didn't stick to my diet perfectly, and so I, because I told everyone, I'm Wednesday, I'm done. I'll have the 1 cheat meal a week. And yesterday was another day where I was like, ugh. And so no one was home, and I saw these Hostess mini muffins. I had never had these before. I was like,
typically.
I'd rather have a real muffin from a bakery or something. But I opened 2 packets. I put melted nut butter on it. I warmed it up and I ate it, and it felt so guilty, and it was so good, and I just kept on going back in for more miniature Reese's cups, and it was just a very indulging feeling. I don't know. It's just weird.
So your fiance came home and said, "Well, where is my muffin?"
I was I texted. I'm like, I want Wendy's tonight. I want this. I want that. And we had planned to go to P.F. Chang's tonight.
Cover it up.
Yeah, and I'm like, I want these things. And he's like, we're going to P.F. Chang's. It's okay. Yeah, eat it, but don't waste your time on stuff that's not even that good.
The icing on the cake about a binge is after 1 week of straight binging, you will add 15 to 30 pounds.
I gained 25
And that's why
pounds.
I say no one should binge after a show. You'll work all that time to bring it down in, let's say, 4 to 6 months, and you will add, if you binge for a week consistently, not following a platform anymore, easily 15 to 30 pounds. Now, as a guy, that could be okay. It could be.
Yeah.
You might look really good after that.
Yeah.
You might put on the appropriate amount of weight back everywhere you needed. As a girl, more than likely, that is not what you want.
No, and that's what I'm kind of dealing with now. After my 3 days of consistent binging.
3 days.
3 days.
Okay.
I mean, I still had a meal after prejudging and finals, but so it was still maybe 4, because I was still snacking on stuff, just not drinking a ton of water. So 4 whole days. I gained 25 pounds. And
in 4 days?
It was extremely painful. And a lot of it's water. In 1 day, it went back down 12 pounds. But I gained fat. And it's okay to gain fat. And that's what I'm trying to tell these girls. After show, you will gain weight. But is it necessarily healthy to gain it all in 1 week? No. So maybe after a month's time, slowly letting your body kind of get back to a healthy stance. But where I was maintaining at 6% body fat as a girl, that wasn't healthy. And so your body is also in a very depleted, unhealthy state where you start eating again and your body is going to go, I need to gain weight because I want everything to be healthy again.
Right. This is very interesting because for the average person, when you guys mention binging as a reward after your competitions,
it's horrible. Bodybuilding is its own eating disorder.
Okay. I think there's a lot of eating disorder that's going on in the world. So when it comes to binging, even though you all did it and you're able to get it under control somewhat, I think that's what a lot of people do in the world that we live in now. Would you say, just hearing you guys, I know you ate a lot of carbohydrates during your binge, would you really blame sugar as being the culprit as far as binging and being out of control and not knowing when to stop or controlling it?
Absolutely. Yep. Because the sugar is what makes you keep going. It's not the fats.
No.
It's the sugars that's going to keep calling you back, in a sense.
Because in a diet, you'll have maybe carb refeeds, or you'll have a cheat meal, but you'll go out and enjoy that cheat meal. You don't want to literally hate yourself. And so you'll go out and get a good burger and fries and something very like calorie dense and
this fat-filled,
fatty,
carby
meals. And then you'll have a little bit of dessert, but by that time you're already stuffed. After a show, the last thing you want to do is go get a steak and fries. You want pancakes and all these sugary foods that you never really had during prep. So during a prep, when you have a cheat meal and you still have that goal in mind, you know, okay, this is for one meal. It's going to help me with my workout tomorrow. It's going to feel good, and you feel pumped and you're happy. You don't really have cravings for more food, maybe more rice, maybe more food in general, but not food that's not going to fuel your body.
Right.
But after a show and you have all that sugar, you just lose control.
Got you. Okay.
There's something she said I wanted to address earlier that stuck in my mind. That she said, to the average person, my diet's almost impossible. And you're right, for sure, because I learned my diet actually looking at a men's physique guy and looking up what he ate. Like, he actually posted it. So my diet was based on men's physique before I was doing men's physique.
Okay.
So it became, that's what I knew, and that's what I became okay with, and that's what I really like. I'm like, wow, this is a lot easier than I thought. I'm already eating these foods, I'm just not eating them correctly. But what I want to say to someone who's like, just starting, when I first started, I was not perfect. I knew how to work hard, but I didn't know how to eat correct. So what I did, I kept a few of the foods I ate in there for a little, that I just didn't want to give up. I kept them in for a little bit and just kept switching to healthier alternatives over time.
Okay.
So it was an adjustment. I didn't go cold turkey right away, and I don't want anyone to do that, because you will quit.
Yep.
And you will fail, more than likely.
Well, I'll write up plans for friends and stuff and say, okay, you're going to stick to this. And in my bodybuilding mindset, I'm like, I don't want to give you these kind of healthy, kind of not. You're going to binge more. You're going to not really eat half a cup of Special K. Like, I don't want to give you that. I want to give you oatmeal and bodybuilding foods. And I learned after a while of helping people that that's just not gonna happen. I mean, I can't give them a bodybuilding diet,
Right.
or else they're not gonna stick to it, because when I did that, the next day they would say, I can't do it, there's so much food I have to cook, I don't want to be in the kitchen. So I put deli meat in there. There's nothing wrong with deli meat. There's nothing wrong with like whole wheat bread. And so it's hard for people that are just starting out to really eat oatmeal and chicken and rice and potato and cook all of that, because we'll prep all of Sunday for Monday through Sunday. Like, we'll prep a big thing of chicken and steak and rice, and we'll just eat these cold meals if we have to, and it just doesn't faze us. Some people need a warm meal.
Wow, okay. Well, hearing how important diet is and how important food is, and that whole phase of eating right and all the way up until competing, and going backwards a little bit afterwards, which I'm sure is a great reward and well deserved and necessary. Let's talk about the actual training. Obviously, food is not enough, but it is good for you as far as proper dieting. Let's talk about the training to compete at a level where your body is being called to be perfect.
I'm glad Tori's here for this one, because there's not many people I could really have this conversation with that won't be offended.
Yeah.
A lot of people that work out do not train hard enough, and they do not do the necessary amount of strength training or cardio. period. To get like the conditioned look where everything's showing, all the details, all the highlights, you'll need to be lifting at least an hour and a half, like at least.
That's a long time.
It is, and I mean consistently, and I mean heavy. If you're a guy trying to gain size, if you're trying to get the definition, you still have to lift heavy, but heavy with reps behind it. Like, I mean, 15, 20, 25 of just being on fire. Literally, and you have to do cardio every day. People are so afraid of cardio. I don't know why, but
because they gotta sweat.
Yeah.
sweating's good. But I did cardio like, well, everything that I did is a lot different than what other people did. But if you do cardio every day for 30 minutes, and you do what's called interval training, as in you just, you continuously incline to like a high peak where your body's like, oh gosh, this is awful.
Like
and then
60 hard seconds.
And then you go, and then you re-peak again, like a few minutes on different levels of speed, let's say on the treadmill. And then you just keep peaking for about 30 minutes. You'll see a world of change in your body. But a lot of people are not training hard enough, and they're wondering, why do I not have abs? Why do I not have big biceps? Why do I not have this? Why do I not have that? And the training's just not there, so the body's not going to respond.
Okay.
And a lot of people, I mean, where I started my prep, and that's like where Rakeem was hinting at, like I started my prep probably 30% body fat.
Okay.
And I got down to 6%.
Wow.
In 5.5 months.
That's
a
impressive.
lot of people don't want to train as hard as I did, and it's very intimidating for them to start where I was and say, I'm going to be shredded in 22 weeks. And so what I had to, there were days where I was doing 90 minutes of cardio a day.
Wow.
I
That's a
saw
long
that.
time.
Yeah. I was in the gym doing cardio for 45 minutes in the morning, lifting for a good hour and a half, and then immediately going and doing 45 more minutes of cardio.
Now, how could your body withstand so much exercise?
I slowly increased.
Okay.
So when I first started, I was doing 40 minutes 5 times a week. So post-workout, I'd do 40 minutes. It's one gym session. And then 2 weeks later, 45 minutes 5 times a week. Then around 2 weeks later, my body started to plateau again. It was 50 minutes 6 times a week. Now we introduced another day. And then every few weeks, it would go up about 5 to 10 minutes. So it wasn't a huge shock. It was just a little bit longer than what my body was used to. Okay. But then I also started doing more sprints. I started with just steady state, just the same level on the Stairmaster, and then as a month went by, I started doing half and half. So when I was doing 60 minutes of cardio 6 times a week, I was doing 30 minutes of hard hit, and then 30 minutes like incline walking. And at a certain point, and I would alternate the days, so it would be 3 of those days, and then 3 steady state, like 60 minutes of steady state. And then I was still behind, and so every day was hit.
Wow.
For 90 minutes. Wow. So I would do 45 minutes of hit. And then at night after working out, another 45 minutes of hit.
So is there a difference between the way women train for competitions and the way men train?
Mm-hmm.
Is there a difference?
Women usually do a lot more cardio.
Yes.
Okay.
And they're still not conditioned the way that they should be because they don't want to work that way that I had to.
Okay.
And so I was still the smallest. If anyone wants to look up women's physique, they're big girls.
But you were the most conditioned.
I was the most conditioned out of girls that have been competing for years. And they're all in their mid-30s, and they know how their body responds, but they're still not seeing every single muscle on their body. And so that's something where I knew my fiance prepped me with a friend of his, and so they kind of both helped me get to this body type. And as guys, they know to work as well. And so they pushed me as if I was a guy. Wow. And so they made sure that because I wasn't going to be the biggest, I was going to be the leanest, and there was nothing that could get in my way. And I knew that was something that was the top of my head. So when I was doing those uphill sprints at 12 miles per hour, girls aren't doing that.
Right.
So.
Okay. So we've talked about the diet. We've talked about the training. Now you're at a point where you're getting ready for the show. When does your mind get to that point of, okay, this is about to happen? Have I done everything I need to do? Have I worked out hard enough? Have I eaten everything that I was supposed to do? When does it get to that? Tell me about the actual competing itself.
It gets very real when everyone has to take off their shirts. Because in the room, the initial room where all the athletes meet, the thing about men's physique and bodybuilding, you don't know who's doing what. And that's the crazy part. That's what makes it freaky. Because you could see a guy that's enormous, and he might take off his shirt and his pants. And the difference between men's physique and bodybuilding, they wear like the Speedo. Men's physique, they wear shorts. Okay. If you see that huge guy in shorts, you're like, oh no, I'm going against this guy more than likely. So it gets really, it really starts to soak into your mind when the lineup, when you're all about to go on stage, where you're standing next to everyone, you're looking at everyone, and you could, if you did everything that you could have done, or you felt like you did it as close to the T as you could have done, you could look at everyone and you could personally make a decision if you won or not.
Okay.
And
that's still subjective.
It is subjective, but you could still sometimes have a good feel about if
who you're gonna beat.
Maybe. Yeah, you'll know who you beat for sure.
You can never find out who the winner is. The judges know, like the judges are so subjective that you have no idea who you're beating. But
I think the biggest thing is to once you put in all that work, you just have to be as confident as you possibly can.
Just have fun.
And have fun.
Be proud of yourself.
Because it's not the biggest person that wins, for sure.
I can attest to that.
I can attest to that for sure. There's three sponsored athletes that were at my show when we were all going up for the overall win. One guy was sponsored by Optimum Nutrition. He was about 214 pounds on stage, 6'4", veins all across the chest, he looked insane. But
that would be me in really good shape.
That would be, but he just wasn't the winner. He didn't smile much. There's a lot of things that play a factor, but you just have to bring your complete best package to the stage. And I think one thing that people and the judges will see is how you feel about yourself.
Yes.
More than anything. So, because everyone there is nervous. Even the best looking people. I can imagine. They're all nervous. They're all wondering, hey, is this person going to win? So forth. They might seem confident, but they're thinking something. They might be smiling in your face when you turn your back. They might be like, wow, his back is insane. Oh my gosh. Right. So everyone's there feeling a certain way about someone. So you just got to go up there confident, know that you did everything you could, and just have fun at that point.
I think the stressful, when you're kind of, your head's everywhere, is the day before.
Oh yeah.
Because you have to get your tan. As a girl, you're getting your nails done. You're dealing with getting to the check-in on time. That's where you sometimes see some of the competitors that you're against. And it's a very stressful moment because you have no idea. You're playing with water too, trying to make sure you tighten your package up so you're drinking enough water and then cutting it at a certain time. And so the day before, I think I'm the most nutcase version of myself because I'm freaking out about what I'm gonna look like on stage. And sometimes they do a little carb up, and I had a burger and fries the night before, and you just don't know. You're excited for that, but you're like, am I gonna look watery in the morning? I don't want to mess my physique up that I've worked so hard for. And so it's a very nerve-wracking feeling 24 hours before you get out there. But then the morning of, you're getting all ready, and at the end of the day, you just kind of look at yourself and you're not really there for the trophy unless you're a really self-centered person and freaking out I have to win. Right. I would say 95% of physique competitors out there are just out there for themselves and happy that they accomplished the goal that they set out for.
Okay, great. So where are you both at now in your career? I know that you are aspiring fitness models. what levels of either competition or even from a professional standpoint can what you're doing take you?
We're both nationally qualified.
Right, and we're both aspiring to be what's called IFBB Pros.
Okay.
It stands for International Federation of Bodybuilding. It's where we could compete against the top physiques in the world, nationwide, and compete for money and through sponsorship, and that leads to fitness modeling, and it could lead to a lot of money.
Okay.
And not a lot of people make a living off of bodybuilding. It's a very, if you look at how much money professional athletes make versus bodybuilding and
Yeah,
Mr.
there
Olympia.
should be a raise somewhere.
Oh my goodness! Like, what is the? Do you know how much the men's physique Olympia they get? Like
25,000
at the Olympia. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
25,000.
Wow. Big difference between signing bonuses of
Yeah.
NBA players and NFL players.
So you can't make a huge living off of bodybuilding, but it at least pays for that.
Sure.
So some people start out their own businesses. Some people open supplement stores, open supplement companies. They have sponsorships. They take care of themselves with as far as getting to the gym, and some people have free memberships and stuff like that. But as far as paying their house bills and stuff, usually they have some type of side business. So
Sure. Okay. So if anything, you have a wealth of health when all is said and done.
Right.
And plenty of advice to give people, and obviously a lot of people, to look up to you and to want to do what you're doing. In closing, for the average person who just wants to get going, get off the couch, get going and getting healthier, obviously fit, who may even in the back of their mind say one day I want to compete, what would you recommend to not only that person but also the person who actually wants to compete?
I recommend get off that couch and start in the kitchen.
Okay, so you recommend the kitchen before the gym.
Right.
absolutely,
Okay.
because you can, just from my personal experience, even trying to gain, before I even competed again in that time period from 2006 to 2012, there'd be days where I felt so horrible for the amount of food I ate. I'd go to the gym, go to Planet Fitness, and run on the treadmill for 10 minutes. And then they'd have their pizza there, and I was like, I was here, and I ate it. My physique never changed from the 3 times per month that I would go on the treadmill. And so I'd say, first things first, get yourself on a healthy diet and healthy habits, and then slowly get into the gym. And not start with 60 minutes of cardio a day, because I see so many girls, and guys included, who go into the gym for New Year's resolution and are there for a good hour every day, and then they get burnt out. And so I'd say start with 20 minutes 3 times a week, and an upper body day, a lower body day, and a full body day. And then as you get more comfortable in the gym, increase the amount of cardio and increase the amount of weights. Increase the body split, do a chest and a back day and everything. But so many people go full force 110% that first week of January, and then they never come back until next year.
Okay. You guys have given so much information. You've given and shed a bright light, even to me, on so many things that are relevant to just being in shape and just being healthy overall. For everyone out there, because I'm sure that even though we did tap into and touch on a lot of subjects as far as diet and nutrition, how to exercise and what to do, how can people follow you all? Because I know that there are people that still have a lot of questions, and I know there are millions of people that are out there that want to get started, that want the motivation, that want the know-how, that may be even wanting to compete. Some may just want to get started. I think that you both bring so much knowledge and obviously great bodies, great stories of how you got started, because people start somewhere and people have to start somewhere. So how can the world get in touch with you so that you guys can continue to inspire people along the way?
Well, my Instagram is a fitness inspiration, and like I said, I started it January 2013, and it's grown to be over 20,000 followers on Instagram of mostly young girls that just need help. And so they can go on Instagram at Tori Lifts, TORILIFTS, lifts weights, Tori Lifts, and also our website, getfitrv.com.
Okay, great.
You could also find me on Instagram, Rakeem G. My email is there, and also my cake is there as well.
Okay, well, wonderful. Well, I definitely will be following both of you guys because I have some work to do, and you guys have shed a lot of light on things that were missing with me. So I thank you guys very much for coming to my show.
Thank you for having us.
And sharing your wealth of knowledge and your experiences with us. And I look forward to talking to you guys again and seeing where you're at in your continuous ventures as far as your career is concerned.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.